What's up, my little bookish dweebs? So, I recently finished The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which is apparently a classic. I mean, it is a classic. It's literally a Penguin's classics. So, I read this because I intend to be reading James at some point, and I bought James, and then everyone was like, oh, you need to read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn to get a bit of context as to what's cracking in James. So, did that, this is that, read it, finished it. Really enjoyed it. There was a lot of it that was really difficult to read, and I recommend if you're somebody who struggles with how it's written, because it was written in the mid 1800s in a very South American kind of twang to a lot of the accents, especially some of the people in here who have very deep country kind of twangs to their things, and it's written in that way. You know how in Harry Potter Hagrid has the little apostrophes in his text to give him that kind of slang and give him that kind of dialect? This is like that, but half the words also don't make sense as well until you kind of read them out phonetically and then understand it in a certain accent. I don't know. Either way, I listened to the free, which was fantastic, Elijah Wood version of this on Audible, and that helped me a lot because he kind of read it in a way that it should sound like, so that helped. The actual story itself is about Huckleberry Finn. When his father comes home one day, he decides to fake his own death, run off and go on an adventure, and he meets Jim, who is the local slave, or the slave of a family member they know, I don't know. But either way, they go off and have a little bit of an adventure together. It's just their kind of journey together, the people they meet, the things they do along the way, the things they learn, kind of experiencing world outside of their little understanding of the world, I guess. So it's really interesting, and it's obviously the dynamic between slavery and black people and white people during those times, and kind of this idea that you shouldn't be breaking people out depending on their skin color, which obviously now, over 100 years, 150 years later, we've got that. But still, back in those days, there was very much a divide. And it's that lovely story of just people bonding and people getting on, and that's nice. I like that element of it. There's a bit of humour in here. There's some very, as I said, complicated text and writing, which is difficult, and the characters are enjoyable as well. So I would recommend this. I can see why it's a classic. I think it may be bordering on classic more because it was written at a time when not a lot of fiction was getting written, and this was written and it was published quite broadly. But either way, I think it's still a good book, and I think it's still, there's some stuff you could learn about in here. And historically speaking, if you didn't understand what time was like during the 1800s, this may help you. So there we go. It's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I don't know if I said it was Mark Twain, who, by the way, I thought was like a cowboy. He's not, he's an author.